I've been reading Garth Marenghi's Tome.
Oh, no.
Which is, for anyone familiar, Garth Marenghi is a character by Matthew Holness, who is a horror author in the Stephen King vein. Who was
cocaine included.
Yeah. Or actually, as he describes himself, a dreamweaver, visionary, plus actor.
Plus actor. I love that, plus actor. If you need to contact me.
Yeah. He's as a character, he's depicted as a conceited hack writer who remains blissfully or even willfully unaware of his lack of talent.
He's terrible.
And so Garth Marenghi's Dark Place was out in 2004, which was a spoof 80s horror show. Full of kind of continuity errors and terrible writing and awful
lots
sound
of blood.
and lots of blood. And I fucking adored it. And it's been about 18 years since that came out. And Holness hasn't really done anything with the character since. There's been nothing else from it. And it was quite a surprise earlier this year when he announced that he'd actually written a book in Garth Marenghi character. And it's fucking hilarious. I mean, the subtitle on the front of the book is "Curl Up with This Book and Die."
Oh dear, like that VR thing that's coming out.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, even the details are fantastic. Like I'm showing the video, the way the book looks, it's got that weird, horrible kind of slightly plasticky feeling that Stephen King books from the 80s have.
It looks like Dean Koontz and Clive Barker and stuff.
That's kind of what he's going for.
Yeah.
So Tome is a 3-part anthology of Garth Marenghi's design, and he's written in the kind of introduction as Garth Marenghi. It is important to know it is based somewhere around on the A78 in Scotland.
Yeah. Which services is that?
So he says in character in the introduction, I began writing Tome in the late 1980s, continued throughout the 1990s, and carried on deep into the early to mid 2000s. My grim vision of a world in which a horror writer's imagination literally leaks out of his head to wage supernatural war against unsuspected mankind was not just wildly visionary for the time, but is now judderingly prescient. Who knew that a reality would soon be upon us where every crazy thought or theory dreamed up by untold doomscribes, them, would possess enough potency and power in the minds of the terrified masses, you, to emerge breathing and seething as grim hard fact, it. It's really, really funny if you get the joke. If you don't get the joke, if you aren't a fan of the concept.
Imagine picking it up not knowing.
Yeah, if you thought this was like a genuine horror thing, you would be sorely disappointed with it. So I've read the first of the 3 stories so far, which is called Typeface, which is about a struggling horror author called Nick Steele. Of course he is. The most handsome, brilliant horror author of all time, who writes primarily in the oeuvre of skin disease horror. He's been on a bit of a slump, and he's having difficulty getting his true horror out there until he finds this ancient Egyptian typewriter that is possessed by a demon, who opens up his mind and allows the horror to spill out, while also having horrendous, awful sex with him. Yes, the man does fuck his typewriter repeatedly.
Like you and your keyboards.
Pretty much, yeah. But or you and your Gundams.
Yeah, bashing them into each other.
So, so it's a demonic typewriter. This is, again, it's basically taking from the Stephen King thing. I want to read some passage from it, because the whole concept is Nick Steele is supposed to be slightly autobiographical to Garth Marenghi. So it's characters writing characters. And in the lore of Garth Marenghi, he is like divorced with a wife. Like his ex-wife hates him and stuff like that, and his daughters don't talk to him. So there's this bit in the opening of Typeface where he's trying to decide whether or not to buy this typewriter. The typewriter's calling out to him, saying, "Buy me, buy me." So you get the "buy me," that voice again, whatever it was, wherever it was coming from. It seemed to be reading my innermost thoughts. It too wanted me to buy the typewriter. And the strange thing was, I now felt like I was being forced, ordered, and compelled. I quickly did the math. Despite my fame, I knew I'd be unable to claim ancient antiquities against tax. I've tried several times, but to no joy. Meaning I'd need to make savings elsewhere. If I ceased all alimony payments sent to my ex-wife to live in rented accommodation at her own expense, selling all my daughter's non-transportable toys, I might just be able to afford it without dipping into any of my own money. Given that Jacinta had yet to forgive me for press ganging our daughter into an early proofreading career, it would hardly come as a surprise to her if I suddenly recommenced hostilities out of the blue. I wouldn't need to worry about any legal challenge either. Early on in my career, I refused to co-write anything with another human being, including my marriage certificate, for which I'd employed several pseudonyms. So any potential ex-wife would need to descend all 9 circles of hell in order to extract a single penny from my mounting fortunes. And if this typewriter was really the one I'd been seeking, those fortunes would soon be mounting even higher.
Always litigious, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the level of the writing in this one. It's not scary. It's funny. It's one of the few books that's made me laugh out loud frequently as it's gone on.
That was me when I read the Alan Partridge one.
Yeah, but yeah,
weird when you laugh out loud in a work canteen. You've got a book.
But I do have to stress, you need to get the joke. Like, if you don't know who Garth Marenghi is, or you've never seen Dark Place, or you've never seen Man to Man with Dean Lerner, or any of the kind of that era of British Channel 4 comedy, so like anything with kind of Richard Ayoade, or anything like the IT Crowd, or anything like
Nathan Barley,
like all those people who were kind of friends in the early 2000s and doing Edinburgh shows together. If you don't get that humour, you will hate this book. But if you like Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, you will fucking love this because it is perfect. Because that was the one thing that was missing from Dark Place. There was never any explanation of his books other than that little bit that he would read out in the intro.
I've got to wait till it comes in paperback though, because I like to take books with me. I can't take a tome with me.
I would have thought you'd have just got it on audiobook because it's Matthew Holness reading it out in character.
Oh, is he doing it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll do that then. Fuck it. I'll do that then. Yeah.
He's back in the Garth Marenghi voice and that weird East End
if I'm
accent
reading,
he's
brilliant. If I'm reading physical books, it has to be paperback so I can crease it and write. I like to write in them. I like to put annotations and stuff in them.
Yeah. Oh, he
kind of guy.
He does make a point in the intro about not breaking the spine. It's bad for you.
Ooh. You should see all my Lord of the Rings, mate. They are tattered.
Yeah,
tattered.
Last thing I want to read out about it. It's just the in jacket synopsis. So it says, "Dare you crack open the Terror Tome (brackets mind the spine). When horror writer Nick Steen gets sucked into a cursed typewriter by the terrifying typeface, Dark Lord of the Prolix, the hellish visions inside his head are unleashed for real. Forced to fight his escaping imagination now leaking out of his own brain, Nick must defend the town of Stalkford from his own fictional horrors, including a vascular necrosis-obsessed serial killer Nelson Strain and Nick's dreaded throppelganger, the Dark Third. Can he and Roz, his frequently incorrect female editor, hunt down these incarnate denizens of Nick's rampaging imaginata before they destroy Stalkford, out of Stalkford, and possibly slightly further? From the twisted genius of horror master Garth Marenghi, Frightener Man, Dark Scribe, Doomsage, plus Manshi, come 3 dark tales from his long-lost multi-volume epic Terror Tome. Can a brain leak? Yes, it can.
I'm into it. Big style. I'll get that on Audible on my credit. Is it available now?
Yeah.
I'll use my credit this month.